right, where are we?
It's a
The
good
wilderness.
question. We're outside the Bob Marshall Wilderness. We are like at the South Fork Sun Trail.
It's the benchmark trailhead. What'd you think about the drive in?
It was great. The mountains are beautiful, the rolling hills. This road here was really easy. It was just gravel, so any car could drive down it. Not scary at all. Today, hopefully we'll go up about 3 miles and find a place to camp. And then tomorrow we're tackling our big day with all of our food and trying to walk another maybe 5 miles up over the pass and maybe 8 miles down the other side before camping again. It's a long way to go for someone who's not been hiking in a while.
What's the stoke level, Lane?
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Sure.
12.
12. Excellent. What's it going to be when you realize you leave that water bladder on top of your car and walk away with it?
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah.
About a 2. There you go.
All right, new wilderness for us, Bob Marshall Wilderness. First time. I think we're headed that way on the Continental Divide Trail. I hope I'm here in 3 years doing the same thing. I don't know if that's how it was designed, but yeah, sure.
That's better.
Yeah, that's at least you brought
You
that.
didn't get to see the climbing up, though. That was the best part.
At least you
Because that
brought,
required a pull-up, but you got to see that tomorrow.
at least you brought that cord with you. All right, we're at the end of day 0.5. Because we just walked, what, 2.5 miles today? So
Pretty
we just,
easy miles.
we just wanted to get a head start on tomorrow because tomorrow is going to be a little bit rough and going up the pass and back down the pass for like 15, 16 miles, 13. I don't know what I've told them, but it's a ways. And
Just another mile.
just another mile. But it was a good day. The trail was easy, flat out to here, so I think it's pretty steady tomorrow. We got a fire going, and now it's starting to rain on us, so we're probably going to call it a night. We started from the benchmark trailhead, and we're on the CDT right now for a little ways. Headed to the South Fork of the Flathead to do some paddling. So having fun so far.
Excellent day. Pretty nice hike. Really good fire. And maybe the bears won't eat our food tonight.
If the bears are going to eat anybody's food, it's going to be yours when they pull it off that twig you hung it on. So
There's no bear here in this wilderness that can climb as well as I can.
yeah, I think they might. That was not pretty. You did that with flip-flops on or sandals, and yeah, no, the bears, you're safe. Yeah, that food will be there forever. But, anyway, so tomorrow we're gonna get up early, and it's gonna be a good long day, but it shouldn't be that hard. Just the weight of the packs, we're at full load on the packs, and that just makes it a little bit harder, but it should be fine. Tracy, are you excited?
I'm excited. Woo!
Tracy's excited. She makes weird noises, but it's starting to rain on us, so we're gonna have to get in. Call it a night. I don't think we're gonna camp here tonight. Look how big this pile of scat is. That is fresh, and it's the second pile of scat we found right here near this campsite. So we've elected, rather than camp here, we're going to move on. So we'll see how that goes. Well, we had a long day. We hiked probably about 12 miles, I think, maybe even a little more than that. Went up over Stadler Pass, I think it's called, and coming up the pass wasn't too hard. It was pretty gradual, pretty steady getting up. It really didn't start picking up until the last mile and a half or so, and even that wasn't very hard. And really, it just got to be a long day with those 45+ pound packs on our backs, doing 12 miles, coming back down. What?
56 pounds.
Yeah, Lane says his pack is 56 pounds. I don't know. So that was what made it a long day, was coming down off the pass. Just a long hike with all that weight. And then we found this beautiful campsite out in the middle of a meadow. We're not far from, well, we're probably about 5 miles from the South Fork of the Flathead. We're going to try to put it in Danaher, or Danaher, however you pronounce it, tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. We were hanging our food bags and saw people, there's some people camped 400 or 500 yards back behind us up the meadow, which was interesting. Just kind of saw somebody and thought, is that a person or is that a tree? And then I waved at it and it waved back, so I figured that meant it wasn't a tree. I have a beautiful view. It's cool today, but it's not cold. It's been cloudy all day. It's spit rain on us a few times, but nothing major. Been a really good day. Tomorrow we'll probably get up late and take it easy, or get a late start, kind of recover a little bit from today. But I feel pretty good. Now I got this great meadow, so I'm glad we did keep going. Anyway, we'll do it tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we get started on the river and start paddling. And that'll be the fun part. What's your stoke meter now? 1 to 10.
It's up to 14 right
14, and why is that?
now. We are about to hit the water.
Doing what? About to get on.
Kayak, and it is glorious.
We're at Danaher Creek, probably 4 miles above South Fork of Flathead. Plenty of water in it. And we're gonna go that way. As a consequence of that, Lane's stoke meter's at 14. Tracy, how you feeling about it? You excited?
Yeah.
Yay. No more walking for a few days. It's only taken like an hour, but I think we're about ready. We had to treat water and eat lunch, inflate everything and pack everything up. I think we're about ready to hit the river. All right, starting it out. Young's Creek. There's Donner Creek, Danaher. And this is the South Fork of the Flathead River. All right. Now, how'd the day go? Maybe I should go over here.
How did the day go? It was an awesome day. Finally got on the water on Danaher Creek after what did we hike, about 2 miles? Maybe 2.5?
About 2. Yeah, we got up this morning, ran into a guy who was leading a group of rehab patients basically for 21 days out here, which was kind of interesting.
Pretty cool.
did a couple miles, and then we found a put in at Danaher Creek. It 10% rained on us 2 or 3 times during the day. And
About 10% of the day.
yeah.
Tell the story about the elk in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, we got last night. We got crazy. Had this elk go crazy around our camp and just hissing at us for several times. Just completely circled the tent and kept hissing at us. And Lane never even woke up, slept right through it with his sleeping drugs.
2 Advil and knocked me out.
Tracy and I sat there, and one time he got close, and I shined the light out, and he shut up, and then he moved on and went somewhere else and started up again, and he stopped and moved somewhere else and started up again, and then I finally got out to look at him, and that scared him off for good. And then we got in the river, and Danaher was runnable. It was great. We were probably about 5 miles up Danaher from the South Fork of the Flathead, and we had a couple of big log jams.
Yeah, I think only 2 that were real log jams that we definitely had to portage around. And I think there was 1 or 2 other places that were kind of sketchy that we ended up portaging around as well. But most of it was just glorious, just great rapids and grand fun. It took a little bit of skill to do it, but not so much that we ever got stressed out about it. It was just fabulous.
I'd say it was easy class 2 in some places, wouldn't you?
Yeah. There were definitely some rapids that I would classify as class 2.
And then we hit the confluence of Young's and Danaher, where it became the South Fork of the Flathead, and that was great. Then it just really leveled out a lot and widened out a lot.
Yeah.
We took a break and made dinner, and one group of 3 guys passed us, and one other guy by himself passed us.
All fishermen.
All fishing. And that's all we've seen. The group of 3 said they packed in from Lodgepole down Young's, but they had somebody on them. They had mules carrying all their gear, so that was. I think Tracy's going to make me do that for her. And we found this campsite. It was getting late in the day. We needed a campsite, and here we are. It's pretty nice. We thought we found a very remote site, and then we went to go hang the food bags and walked across the trail that's about 100 yards to the east of us, so that was interesting. Here we are. It's getting late in the day. It's 9 o'clock exactly. It's time to go to bed. It's Monday. So tomorrow we'll get up, and it'll be a whole day of paddling.
Yep, another glorious day.
And the stoke meter is 1 to 10?
14.
14. There it is. So we'll keep doing it. You having fun, Tracy?
Yes.
She said yes if you didn't hear her. So we'll do it tomorrow.
Already laid out in the tent with her bonnie on and ready to go to bed.
I'm tired too. Been feeling really good. Been surprising how good I felt, but I'll take it. Yep. So, all right, we'll talk tomorrow. Tracy reminded me that I didn't talk about the tracks we saw this morning. We saw just an absolutely ginormous grizzly track and a good track trap of mud, and then a couple of really small bear tracks in the same mud patch, and then 2 really large canine tracks, so they had to be wolf. I mean, they were just huge. I think Wolf or Lane, what did you say about the wolf tracks? When Lane saw them, he said that was terrifying. They were really big. But we saw a lot of bear scat yesterday, and we saw a little bear scat this morning out in the meadow. But we haven't. That's all we've seen so far. Today at this camp that we're in, I also didn't mention that this is prairie dog camp. There are just prairie dogs everywhere. Prairie dog holes, and they're yipping at us, and Lane just had one run away from his tent, so hopefully they don't give us the plague tonight. That's where we are, so just wanted to mention that before I forgot. How you guys feeling?
Warmer.
What happened?
We ran into some trees and fell over. Water.
Fell over.
Flipped over.
Who flipped first?
Lane did.
Who flipped second?
I did after I ran into Lane's paddle.
Saved Lane's paddle. Here, give us an impression of what Lane's paddle was doing when you saw it. With the paddle.
Impressive that paddle was stuck up in the water.
And who?
Strangest thing.
But everybody's alive. Everybody's okay. Tracy's lost a hat. Lane's lost
Pack cover.
pack cover. I think that's all we're down.
I lost a scrunchie too.
Oh, and Tracy lost a scrunchie.
Oh, my hair is hideous the nearest the trip.
Unfortunately, the sun refuses to come out for us, so we're having to warm up by sheer force of will. But everybody's fine. We got about 3 more miles to paddle, I think, and we'll call it a day. All right, what are we on? It's Wednesday, June 26th, 2019.
Wednesday or Sunday?
It's been Sunday for 4 days, I think. So we started on what, Saturday? So we're on, that was day 0.5, so we're on day 4.5. So tell me about yesterday.
Oh, yesterday was awesome, other than taking a swim.
Tracy, what'd you think?
It was really beautiful up until the swim. Me and Lane decided to go swimming together.
Yes, it was lovely.
Yeah, we went to
Brisk.
We went through the fast corner section of the Flathead, which I didn't really know anything about. I just knew it was called the fast corners. And it was fast. I mean, we were running rapids from like 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, something like that. I mean, a solid 3 or 4 hours of rapids. So it was really good. Once you got below the bridge at Basin Creek, maybe, I think that's may have been where it was, then that's where the rapids started. And then
They were great. We were having a lot of fun, and we did overall have a lot of fun. But going for a swim always kind of puts a damper on the day.
yeah, so we're coming around to see a corner up ahead and some brush and some trees, well, not brush, but trees in the side of the river. And by the time it was a sharp curve, and by the time Lane was up in front and realized that it was bad, it was too late to get out. So he flipped, and his paddle got completely stuck in the trees, submerged in the water. So only one paddle was sticking out of the water, straight up, just flapping. And Tracy was behind him, and she was already committed, and she ran straight into his paddle and luckily dislodged it. And when it flipped her too, and I saw both of them flip, and I was able to avoid the obstacles and get through them. But the river really narrowed right there. It got really, really deep and really, really narrow. She lost her hat, as you can tell by her beautiful Lane's headgear.
Yep.
And what else did we lose? I lost my sunglasses and my pack cover. You lost your
My
hat.
scrunchie and my hat.
Yeah.
So now I have a twist tie as a ponytail holder, and this thing as a hat.
We went another, mile and a half after that, and we're right at the mouth of the White River right now, camped on the opposite bank. Beautiful campsite.
Beautiful.
We've got about another 10 or 11 miles to go before our pullout, and then we're gonna start hiking. We're gonna hike up to Larch Hill and cut across Larch Pass and hit the Continental Divide Trail, and I think hike it all the way back to Benchmark. We've decided to switch it up and not do the North Fork of the Sun just because we're afraid the river may not be runnable. I got the flow rate this morning, and it's double what it normally would be. And so we're not sure what to expect on that. So we're just gonna go ahead and cut across, and there's some beautiful views up near the CDT. So we're gonna look at those. We spent all night last night. We didn't make a video last night because we were making a mad rush to chase the sun to get everything dried out as the sun kept moving. I think we did a pretty good job. Most everything's dry now, so we're doing okay. But anyway, looking forward to another good day of paddling, and let's go do it. to go between those two rocks, I think. There's a rock between them. You might want to go to the right. I'm paddling hard to the right. Yeah, that was way too rocky right there.
You could have done that. I think that middle section would have worked out great. But man, I just couldn't tell.
I couldn't either. How you feel, Tracy?
Perfect.
I think this is the bridge at Air Basin Guard Station. There's a really big ranger station and just a cabin and corral up at the top of the hill. And there's a work crew there and a forest ranger and a couple of soil scientists, evidently. This is where we pulled out for our float on the south fork of the Flathead. You can see our tent way over there, like right there. And yeah, great day. Thunderstormed on us for about an hour ago. Now it's cleared up a little bit and it's nice. It's cooling off. You can see some of the mules they used, the trail crews used. One of them looking at me. There's 4 out there. Yeah, having a great day. You can see the flies. That's interesting. After the storm, there were just flies going all the way down the river, like what the trout eat. I've never noticed those before. And you can see them in the picture. Maybe they're everywhere. And it's interesting to me. We can call it a night and start hiking tomorrow. And we've got 45 miles to go and 6 days to do it. So we're gonna kind of take our time. This view just climbed up from Helen Creek above the south fork of the Flathead, and this is the reward we got. It was a tough climb, gained about 2,000 feet over the course of the last 2 miles, and it was pretty gradual, so it wasn't awful. It was still a tough climb. Now we're rewarded with this view. The lake you see off in the distance, and there's Big Salmon Lake. And the river down there, that's the south fork of the Flathead, so we floated through there. You can't see the Big Salmon from the Flathead, but we passed it. There's the view we got, and those mountains in the background are just entire, I think, the outer wall of the Bob Marshall Wilderness. So, an amazing view. We gotta get moving before those storm clouds get closer to us. All right, we got to get caught up, I guess, because we're 2 days behind on updating the video, mainly because the weather has been unpleasant a good portion of the time. So we start, today is Friday, June 28th. I think we need to do Thursday and Wednesday. So Wednesday was our last day on the river. What do you guys think about that day?
It was a beautiful day.
We came off the river. We had a good paddle. There was still some fast water, but nothing complicated. I don't think we had any strainers or anything we had to worry about. I think you got out and portaged once because there was
Two
kind
rocks
of a
and
big boulder.
yeah.
Big boulder garden or something that just looked a little iffy.
It was really more just primarily class 1. It was a little bit different because there were more big rocks. So there were some sections that we could have made more exciting, but we managed to stay out of the
Bad
bad stuff, yeah.
or the fun stuff. Or
Yeah, depending on how you look at it.
So we made it to the bridge at the, I think it's Bear Basin Guard Station, I think right there. It's at Helen Creek. And we got out there. That was our pull out. Didn't have any trouble getting out. Was it raining then? Or I don't think it started
raining
raining
when
yet.
we got out.
Yeah, we got out and we found a campsite, and soon after that it started raining.
We ate dinner.
We ate early before it
I
started
missed
raining.
the rain, and then it started raining when we finished dinner.
And it started storming. It was lightning pretty good, and then got up then yesterday morning, and it had been raining. Everything was soaked wet, and it was cloudy, and so we just packed up everything as wet as it could possibly be, which made our packs, I don't know, 150 pounds heavier or something like that. Really, really heavy. Or, I mean, not really heavy, but noticeably heavier. And then we started walking. Before we got up to the Helen Creek Trail, it was really mudded out, and the horses had trampled it pretty bad. So it was really muddy. And then the rain stopped, and we took all our rain gear off and started up Helen Creek, and it was completely overgrown and got completely wet again from all the bushes overhanging the trail that were soaked. And Helen Creek was a steady ascent the whole way. It wasn't awful, but it was just up, and it was continually
7
up,
miles of ascent.
up. And then the last 2 miles were steeper, and they gained about 2,000 feet of elevation, but they were gradual enough to where it didn't kill us. I kept thinking it was going to be miserable, and it never was. It was funny, though, once we popped out of the really thick understory, the thick trees, the sun finally came out, and then we were burning up hot, climbing up above the tree line. But once we got up to Pagoda Mountain, the views were incredible, just amazing. What do you guys think?
We wanted to sit there and stare at it all day long, but then there were storm clouds again.
Yeah, so we were looking at views.
Once we got up to the ridge, we had a mile on the ridge of seeing just that beautiful view on the other side of where we started the day. And then we got to the pass, headed back down the other side. And that's when the storm started coming at us.
From Pagoda, we could see the river that we had been floating on the day before.
Yeah,
So
that was
cool.
nice.
Yeah, we could see the South Fork of the Flathead from the top, and just the views were great. You see the wall of the Bob Marshall. I think we were
Peaks.
looking off to the west, just really huge mountains off that way.
They were snowy.
They were snowy. Plus, you could see the big, dark blue clouds coming headed our way from them. So we hightailed it over the pass, started down. We saw a lot of bear tracks up on the pass, just big ones. I saw one that could have passed as a Sasquatch track, and I put my foot next to it. It was almost a size 9.5 bear track. And then the fun started. If that hadn't been fun enough, we started down the pass, and it was really muddy. We got, I don't know, three-quarters of a mile down, and the storm finally hit.
I looked back, and the sky was just black.
Yeah.
Okay.
It actually ended up it was thundering some, but it never lightened as bad as we thought it would.
I
But
didn't see any lightning.
but it did sleet on us, and it was pretty good.
It was
What,
hail.
pea-sized,
Little bitty pieces.
pea-sized hail, sleet.
Which I was thrilled about because to me that was better than water.
Yeah,
Better than
me
huge
too.
drops of rain. Yeah, it rained a little bit afterwards, but mostly it was just that
kind of
sleet.
rained throughout, but yeah.
Then we got down below tree line.
It's like a rainforest down here.
It's like a rainforest. And our pace yesterday, I swear every time I looked at the map on the GPS, we were half a mile from where we were trying to go. Every 20 minutes I'd look and it was half a mile. It seemed like we were like the knight running at the castle in the Holy Grail. It was like we kept moving, but we were never getting anywhere. We finally made it down here, and we're down at the bottom. The White River, the headwaters of the White River are up in here, but we couldn't find a campsite. It was 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:30, and we couldn't find a campsite. We had an hour of daylight. Couldn't find water. It was miserable. It became a mad rush just to find a place to drop the tent, and we did, and it turned out okay. Turned out better than it could have, for sure. But we just dropped the tents, made a mad rush. We ate a cold dinner. We found a beaver pond to get water from and just prayed it's not gonna kill us later. We did have a three-person Forest Service trail crew come through, and it was nice meeting them, telling us how they do things. Now the plan for today is we're gonna go about 4.5 miles in this level valley, hopefully, and set up camp, make it a really short day. Tomorrow we will pop up over Larch Hill Pass, and then we'll hike the CDT along the Chinese wall back in the direction of the trailhead, but we're still probably 3-4 days away from that. So having a good time. You guys still having fun?
Still having fun.
great.
It is great to be here.
I think that's about all we got. We'll check back in later. All right, let's see if we can do it. I sit beside the fire and think of all that I have seen, of meadow flowers and butterflies in summers that have been, of yellow leaves and gossamer in autumns that there were, with morning mist and silver sun and wind upon my hair. I sit beside the fire and think of how the world will be when winter comes without a spring that I shall ever see. For still there are so many things that I have never seen. In every wood and every spring there is a different green. I sit beside the fire and think of people long ago, and people who will see a world that I shall never know. But all the while I sit and think of times that came before. I listen for returning feet and voices at my door. I got it first time. Let's see if you picked up. So 2 days ago, it's Saturday afternoon now, so that was on Thursday, we came over a pass on that mountain in front of us. I think, I'm not 100% positive, but I think it was that right in there. And we came down, through there. And then we camped at the bottom of the valley. Yesterday we hiked just about 4.5 miles down along the bottom of the valley. And today we climbed up to the top of the Chinese wall. We're here at Larch Hill now. The climb up here was horrific. Not because the trail was actually probably would have been pretty decent any other time, but last year they had a burn, and it was just endless trees, big huge trees down over the trail. The trail crew's out clearing on it right now, but we passed them about 20 minutes up it. But anyway, absolutely beautiful up here. Now we're headed down this trail. We will in about 15 minutes connect up with the CDT, and from there it's the CDT all the way back to the car. That'll probably still take us 2.5 days at least. We should be at the base of the Chinese wall here in the next few minutes too. But anyway, it was a decent hike up here to Larch Hill. It just hadn't been for the trees, and 3 or 4 days, that trail crew will have that cleared out, and then it'll be a nice hike again. So our last stop, I think we're at, I can't remember which mountain we're at, but we're at the last saddle right above the Chinese wall before we start our descent down to the west fork of the south fork of the Sun River. You can still see the pass we came over yesterday right around in there. We came over the Chinese wall and we hiked all the way across that yesterday, and beautiful, absolutely beautiful hike. We're on the CDT. We're seeing a lot of through hikers, big bubble of them since they had to flip up. The northbounders had to flip up here because of snow, so it's been kind of interesting. It's all we've seen actually has been through hikers since we got on the CDT yesterday. Really, really pretty. Chinese wall is beautiful. This side of the mountain is a whole lot more like the Rockies we know and love. Just a pretty area. So got to keep going. We have almost exactly probably 21, 22 miles to get back to the car. I'm going to see if we can get back by tomorrow night. We'll see. It'll be a rough run, but we'll try it. It should be all downhill from here, literally. So I'd be sad to leave behind this area because it's pretty. We'll keep on going. Well, let's see. I don't even remember the last video we did.
The GPS went out and we thought that World War III probably started or something.
I don't know what happened. Our GPS yesterday and today, especially yesterday, was really intermittent on my phone and Tracy's phone. Yesterday, I don't think we talked about it, so we climbed up Arch Hill Pass. Once we got over the pass, that's where we deviated from the original plan and dropped down to the Continental Divide Trail. And that was just beautiful. What do you guys think about getting the CDT there?
Yeah, the top section, it's like the previous one when you get to the ridge, and the views are just outstanding. Both of those ascents were nicely rewarded with beautiful views, snow up on the top, and came over that and got on the CDT and got our first view of the Chinese wall, which was spectacular. 12 miles of limestone wall.
Chinese wall is about 1,000 feet high, I guess about 12 miles long, and it's just, the CDT just parallels right along the bottom of it for a solid 6, 7, 8 miles, something like that. So
that's when we first started seeing the through hikers.
We always saw 2 groups of people until yesterday. We saw one group on the river and one group our second day in, and that's it. That's all we saw. And then we hit CDT, started seeing our through hikers. We made camp last night along the Chinese wall, and we got up this morning, and it looks like we've done almost 14 miles today, which is insane, because this time yesterday Tracy thought she'd been saying she's running on one donut spare tire, and it's only got one lug screw left in it.
Because you're running off my tires.
All right, we had to come back and finish the video from last night because after we finished talking and were hilarious and told a lot of funny jokes, I found out the phone storage had filled up and it didn't record any of it.
The iPhone had its own joke.
Yeah, its own joke. So now it's the next morning and we're tired and we won't be nearly as funny anymore. I'm sure we were not funny last night either.
We were also a lot better looking last night.
And it was a lot drier. So where did we leave off? I think we lost all yesterday. So we got up yesterday, started hiking. We had to climb up the ridge to get beside Cliff Mountain, I guess. And we had breakfast up there. Saw about half a dozen or so through hikers. Once we climbed up that first ridge in the first mile and a half of the day, it was pretty easy hiking. It was downhill and flat and a lot of pine needle forest and stuff. Pretty easy walking. What
along
else?
the river most of the day.
Yeah, we
walking
went
along the west fork of the south fork of the Sun Creek
river. Yeah.
Eventually it becomes
So many directions.
Yeah, so we're along the river, and just a really good, easy day. As a result of that good, easy day, we did nearly 14 miles, we think. I woke up this morning and found out I gained a couple of blisters, so that's my first pains of the trip. Happened on day 8 or 9.
Feel very sorry for him. My whole feet are just blooded.
Yeah, Tracy's just exploded.
Tracy has no skin left on her feet whatsoever.
Her hand, she's got the
broke
eye
my
of
hand
Sauron.
on the first day.
She's got the eye of Sauron on her hand. It's kind of weird. I've spent most of the trip bragging about how much I didn't hurt than yesterday. I had a blister. I felt it for about 200 yards, and then it busted, and then I was like, hey, I feel good again. But then we did our 14 miles or so. We had dinner before we got to camp, and then we found this really nice, I don't know, outfitter camp or something. And we were all super excited that the Bob was going to send us away without rain, because if you'd asked us a week ago or 5 days ago, if you'd asked me to summarize the trip, I would have said it rained, and then the sun came out and we dried out our gear, and then it rained again. That would have been the summary. But yesterday it didn't rain until about 11 o'clock last night. And it thunderstormed, it rained, and got our tents wet again.
So how long did we go without rain? Was it like 2 full days?
I think
2.5?
2 whole full days was our longest stretch of no rain, I think. But it didn't rain all day every day. It just would rain enough to get everything wet.
Right.
Camp worked out great last night. Now
Didn't get eaten by a bear on our last night. That was kind of disappointing. We were looking forward to the excitement, but
we've still got 8 or 9 miles to get home, so there's still plenty of opportunity for bear eating. So today, Lane has decided that he's going to brave the west fork of the south fork of the Sun River and paddle 4 or 5 miles down. What are you thinking? You excited about that?
I am totally stoked about that. Last day, I think it's going to be a pretty lazy stream, but guaranteed there'll be some excitement along the way. Some I may generate on my own, self-inflicted wounds, as I am apt to do. But it should be glorious.
Yeah. Luckily, he's given us the rental car keys, so if he's gone for good, we can still leave. And if we beat him back to the car, we may just assume he's gone for good. There's no telling. But Tracy and I are going to hike. We could paddle. It's just have to pull everything back out, and we're on the downhill
lazy
run. We're just going to hike it. So that's about it. We got 8 more miles or so. He'll probably paddle for about 4 or 5, and then he'll have to get out and hike for 3 or 4 back to the car, and that should be the end of the day, end of the trip. Today is day 8.5, I guess. Calling it into day 9. It's been a phenomenal trip. You guys liked it?
Yeah.
It is a lot more forested than a lot of Rocky Mountains, but it's also a lot lower in elevation. Right now we're at like 5,000 feet of elevation, which that's crazy low for Rocky. It's been a great trip. We'll talk about it more when we're done, but it's just, the wildlife, there has been a lot of wildlife. There's been deer all the time, and the deer have been pretty brave. They'll come close to camp, but haven't seen elk or moose or bear, we've seen lots and lots of bear and wolf tracks. Seen about as many wolf tracks as bear tracks. Saw one bear track that could have passed as a Sasquatch. Thing was ginormous. That was up on Pagoda Mountain.
Some huge wolf tracks.
Some huge wolf tracks. Crazy big. But that's probably about all we can say now, because the phone's probably full again already. So we'll talk more about it later. All right. So what do you guys think? Did you have a good trip?
Yes. I don't want to go back to Alabama. It's too hot.
Oh, yeah. Bozeman and Montana in general was so nice now as we head to the deep south. Oh, gosh.
Even 2 days of sitting in Helena and Bozeman was better than what we're about to do.
Absolutely.
We did have a great trip.
What did you do the last day?
The last day I finished rafting on the west fork of the south fork of the Sun River. So it was about 5 miles to the bridge.
Started right at the campsite.
It was really marvelous. I'd already gotten in my mind that I was going to portage a lot, so I got prepared for that, and I did it a lot, about a dozen times, I'd guess.
Mostly down trees, kind of.
Yeah, just down trees. I didn't ever actually. Maybe once I had to drag through some rocks, but just barely. Most of the time, it was really just beautiful. beautiful floating, and just had a great time. I should have got out at the bridge because my biggest adventure was as I got to the confluence with the South Fork of the Sun River. There was a huge log jam. I had to bushwhack through a bunch of brush, got on a side creek that required me to basically climb down some pretty big, I don't know if they were beaver dams or just piles of brush. It was a grand adventure. And then after that, it was about a 4-mile hike back to the parking area where Keith and Tracy were patiently waiting on me,
For an hour and a half.
Yeah, for an hour and a half, avoiding the stampeding horses. And that was the
Drying
other
out
thing
gear.
we all noticed as we got closer to the parking area was just the massive amount of outfitters and all the horses and mules and how somewhat uncontrolled they were.
4th of July week definitely brought out the crowds at the trailhead.
It was a hard introduction back into the real world.
So we had a pretty uneventful hike back, I guess.
Yay.
It did rain on you. It stormed on you once on the hike
I
back.
got another hailstorm as I was coming out of the river and packing up. Got hailed on again, so 2 hailstorms in 10 days. That was pretty awesome.
We just kind of got sprinkled on, so we didn't have anything. Our hike was completely uneventful. We got back, and the most eventful thing of our day was
Almost getting run over by stampeding horses. I was sitting on the ground when a horse broke loose. 3 horses broke loose and were running straight towards me, and I jumped up and into the trees. And they went running by.
anyway. Bottom line,
Great trip.
on a scale of 1 to 10,
8.
Tracy gives it an 8.
I'm staying with a 10. I just loved it. I'd love to go back and do it again. I thought it was grand. It was hard, but it was hard. It was the right kind of hard.
Good trip though, worth doing. Everybody glad we did it.
Absolutely.
Now we gotta go back to work and recover.
Not
There
glad
you
for
go.
that.
Good trip. Glad we did it. Had a good time. Plan the next one,
Yes. Yeah, let's get
which
started.
I saw as we were flying over thoroughfare of Yellowstone.